sobbing in my ear, and it was like.
Well, and for the record, both assistant state attorneys are present. Mr. Sievers is present, and both counsel for the defense.
There's this.
And
All right, I emailed the court and the parties a copy of the state's proposed guilt phase instructions. Also handed out hard copies and left a copy for the court on the court's bench.
how long do you think this last witness will take?
You want my crystal ball guess?
Just a guess.
Shattered glass, half hour,
Okay.
40 minutes at the moment, 40 minutes, half hour.
Okay. And just so both sides know, I guess the press could pick up quite what some of the jurors had said in responding to my questions and your limited questions on. Neither side has a problem with the press hearing what the jurors said, just not their identity, do you?
Just not their identities. Yes, Your Honor.
I'll make it easy on our stenographer when she asks her boss if it's okay. All right. I hope that helped. Some days. Some days are better than others.
That's an idea for the court administrator or for the clerk. Maybe their name tags should have their numbers on them. If they can't remember their numbers, they can look at the name tag.
We've already had a juror indicate to our bailiffs to save money, we should have lanyards we hang out for multiple day trials, so.
You know, in Hendry County, they have little magnetic name tags they're not paper. They're magnetic clips that say juror on it, and you clip it to your shirt, and then they recycle them after every trial.
They've come further than when I was out there, but I've been I was there for a year and a half, that was over a decade ago, so I guess. I liked it out there.
I liked it there too. I think I arrived out there as office head after you had already come back to Fort Myers.
In fact, you started with Martina, I think, when I started out there. I think you came out there, one of my first goes was one of your first, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a while. I had hair back then. Probably should update my picture. Maybe not. It might be harder to find you than
Kind of like this. And that was.
ready to go on record. Both assistant state attorneys are present. Mr. Sievers is present, and both defense counsel. State's ready?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
Defense is ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Bring them out. Please be seated. I'll ask our jurors again, did you follow my instructions not talk about the case among yourselves? Look up any of the people or places involved. Even if you did so inadvertently, now would be the time to raise your hand and let me know. For the record, no jurors lifted their hand. Next witness.
Your Honor, the state's about to call their next witness, but preliminarily we move to introduce into evidence 63A and B, the life insurance policies from Ohio National. 62A and B, the life insurance from Prudential Financial. And 61A and B, the life insurance policies from State Farm.
No legal objection.
Your Honor, I renew all prior objections to business records.
All prior objections are noted for the record, overruled. We'll show all the items admitted.
At this time, Your Honor, the state calls Suzanne Muchhofer.
solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I will. Thank you.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
Suzanne Muchhofer.
And would you spell your last name for the court reporter, please?
It's B as in boy, U-C-H-H-O, F as in Frank, E-R.
And Ms. Muchhofer, where do you work?
Lee County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you worked with the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
16 years.
And in what capacity do you work with the Lee County Sheriff's Office?
I'm an analyst.
And as an analyst, what does that mean?
I assist detectives with identifications and criminal histories and basic research.
And have you received any training, or do you have any training, education to be an analyst?
I have a bachelor's degree in computer information systems, and I've attended many law enforcement specific analysis classes.
As an analyst, were you asked by the Lee County Sheriff's Office to chart data that had been received from the Digital Forensics Unit?
Yes, I was.
And did you receive from I'm going to show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 106. What is State's Exhibit 106?
This is the spreadsheet that was provided to me by the Digital Forensics Unit.
And did you also obtain, or did you also utilize phone records for 727-412-7736?
Do you have a name that those are attributed to?
Teresa Sievers.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 78 and ask if you can identify State's Exhibit 78.
These are the records I received.
And did you review those records? Are your initials on the disc that's contained within those records?
Yes, I signed the disc.
Move to introduce State's Exhibit number 78.
I believe 78, there was an proffer for purposes of business records. I renew all business records objections.
Noted for the record, overruled, will show it admitted.
And did you also receive historical precision location records and phone records for 573-864-1179, a number attributed to Jimmy Rogers?
Yes, I did.
Let me just start with I've used two words, historical precision location and cell phone records. Could you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what the difference is?
Sure. Cell phone records, commonly referred to as CDR, communication detail records, are provided by the phone companies. They include information about the phone calls made from a cell phone, text messages, SMS and MMS text messages, which include photos, and data usage. Historical precision location is from AT&T, and that is AT&T's estimates of locations that the phone has been.
Now, were you asked you indicate you were asked by the Lee County Sheriff's Office to produce some graph and map images of this information, is that correct?
Yes, that is.
Did you utilize any particular software programs to assist you in graphing and mapping this information?
I used PinLink and ArcGIS.
What is
ARC, A-R-C.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
GIS?
Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am.
No, please. What is PenLink?
PinLink is a industry standard software for the analysis of phone records.
And what is ArcGIS?
That is an industry standard for mapping systems. If you've ever been to the Lee County Property Appraiser's website and looked at their maps, those are built on an ArcGIS platform.
Now, I want to show you what has been marked for identification as State's Exhibits 109 through 114. 114. And Your Honor, may I ask the witness to step down and look at these as opposed to carrying them to her?
Yes, ma'am.
If you would step down. I'm going to show you what's been marked for identification as 109 through 114. Do you recognize these?
Yes, I do.
And what are these?
These are the maps I created from the data I was provided.
And, I wanted to ask you, and I probably made it difficult, but does AT&T, when it gives you precision location data, does it have any disclaimers?
Yes, it does.
Do you have that disclaimer with you that you could let the jury know what it is?
It's on the witness stand.
Your Honor, if I could ask the witness to just step back to the witness stand for a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the disclaimer that you received with all CDR records, precision location records, from AT&T?
Yes, this applies to the historical precision location records only. The disclaimer reads, "The results provided are AT&T's best estimate of the location of the target number. Please exercise caution in using these records for investigative purposes, as location data is sourced from various databases, which may cause location results to be less than exact."
Thank you. Now, if you could just step down one more time, and, Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to introduce States Exhibits 109 through 114. And these were previously shown, the council's confirming to defense counsel.
No objection, Your Honor.
We'll show them admitted.
With the court's permission, Ms. Muchhofer, if you would step down so you can discuss with the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what each of these exhibits contain.
Would you like me to bring this laser pointer?
Yes, please.
You may step down, ma'am. Counsel, you can move if you need to. And please make sure you speak up loud enough for our court reporter from that position.
I'm going to show you first what has been introduced into evidence as States Exhibit 109. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what they are seeing in States Exhibit 109 and maybe give them some indication of the legend and symbols on it?
This is a map showing the information from code number 573-864-1179 for the date of June 27, 2015. As indicated on our legend, the red cell phone icons represent a historical precision location provided by AT&T. The green satellite images indicate recovered GPS information, and this yellow line here is the time zone between Central and Eastern Time.
Your Honor, may I inquire to make sure all jurors can see around Ms. Muchhofer, or would the court inquire?
Everybody okay? Everybody shook their head yes.
And when you and what data did you use, or what information did you use to create States Exhibit 109?
This is from the phone records provided by AT&T, the historical precision location, and the data provided by the digital forensics unit.
I'm sorry, by the digital forensics?
Unit.
Thank you.
Sir?
Is it appropriate to ask if, when we are given a phone number, that we are given a name to attach to it also?
That'll be up to the state to ask that question and/or for them to link it to other exhibits that are in evidence.
Thank you.
The number to which you referred, the 573 number, were you able to attribute that particular number to a name?
It is attributed to Jimmy Roberts.
And did you indicate the date of this information?
It was June 27th, 2015. Oh, I'm sorry, and it was June 28th, 2015.
So where do we start on this exhibit? Where are we looking initially?
The path begins up in this region of Missouri at 7:16 a.m. And 8:17 a.m. There's a GPS location that was noted route created to Jimmy. The phone historical precision locations, here's one from 8:56 Central Time. Here's one from 12:46 Central Time. Here's some more GPS records, added speedway to route.
I'm sorry, added what? Your Honor, I'm gonna move up.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Can you help me with the chair? Okay,
I believe you said added speedway to route, right?
Yes. Would you like me to start from there? Added speedway to route between 2:07 and 2:54 p.m. Records continue to indicate southern movement. By 9:14, they're in Georgia. On the second map, cell phone records indicate approach to the Florida-Georgia border by 12:31 a.m. And continues down I-75, and the map ends in Lee County that evening. There's one from 11:31 p.m. near this blue house, which is 27034 Jarvis Road.
And again, all of these points that you've noted and that are in your text box as well, were those obtained from either the call detail, the historical precision location records for Jimmy Rogers' phone, or from the digital forensics unit information, or just one or the other?
It is both. The red icons are the historical precision locations, and the green satellites are the data provided from the digital forensics unit.
Let me ask you one more question as we look at this. When we are looking at the bottom of State's Exhibit 109, in this area with a lot of red, there are more than one little green cell towers. What does that indicate?
Those are the green satellite images from the data provided from the digital forensics unit.
Does that mean that there are different locations for each of those symbols, or is it just that there was different pieces of information attributed to?
I don't think I understand your question.
Do these indicate different locations, these green dishes, or just different times of information that was received?
It's really both. It was individual records. This record was, the GPS location was this area of Lee County. That's added stop and go at 3:18 a.m. to 5:25 a.m. This location was later in the day between 12:04 p.m. and 6:54 p.m. for search for Fort Myers. This is a route created from Kingsville Way to Walmart. No time was attributed to that one. And after 5:25 a.m., new route created to Walmart.
I want to show you what's in evidence as State's Exhibit 110 and ask you what is displayed on State's Exhibit 110.
This is more of the same information from AT&T and the digital forensics unit for the phone number attributed to Jimmy Rogers for the date of 6/28/2015 between 5:07 a.m. and 9:43 a.m.
And I think that is 110A. Did you also create a 110, what has been introduced into evidence as State's 110B?
Yes, I have.
And what do we see in 110B? How does that interact with 110A?
This is basically a zoom in of the area of Bonita Springs for the same time period on 6/28/2015 between 5 a.m. and 9:43 a.m.
So if I were to lift and show 110A, can you show them the area that you zoomed in from 110A?
And it's this area in Denise.
And then when I place 110B, what type of information are we seeing on 110B?
In this one, we continue to see our red icon, which is the AT&T historical precision locations. In addition, we have these blue circles. That represents AT&T's confidence, measured in meters, of how confident their software was to the location of the phone. The bigger the circle, the less certainty there is. The smaller the circle, the better their records indicated. In cases like this one where we see no circle, it means they were unable to create one. It is probably a tower that the phone was connecting with. Our orange wedge here is a phone call from the number attributed to Jimmy Rogers. It was made to 314-244.
They made two.
Yes. It was an outgoing phone call made to the phone number 314-244-7702 on 6/28/2015, 6:23 a.m.
And is the residence, let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as States Exhibit 111. And if you would let us know what we're seeing in States Exhibit 111.
We continue to see the data provided as the previous maps. Our time frames this time of dates continue through the day on 6/28. The left side is from 9:45 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. The right side of the map is from 6:45 p.m. to 10:22 p.m.
And are there any particular points that you marked on this map or put text boxes that you might discuss with the members of the jury?
This blue house represents 27034 Jarvis Road. There is a precision location here, and you can see there is an uncertainty provided by AT&T related to this. 10:59 a.m., that is in the Walmart parking lot. There's also a phone call here made from the phone attributed to Jimmy Rogers. I'm sorry, that is an incoming phone call from phone number 660-998-20000. That was at 11:28 a.m.
You mentioned that when you look at historical precision data, do you look at one point or do you look at trends?
Based on the disclaimer that AT&T puts on the top of every page of their historical precision location report, because they are unable to exactly put the phone in the location every single time, it's best to look at the information as a trend and as a whole and not focus too much on one particular point because of their databases.
If you have one point in the historical precision location data that corresponds to other data that's been received, for instance, a video surveillance, does that provide more confidence for that individual data point from the historic precision location data?
Objection, Your Honor. Will you approach?
Yes, sir.
When looking at historical precision location data for a single point, if you have other data, for instance, a corresponding video of a particular location, does that give you a sense of it being more certain or less certain that that particular historic precision location point is an accurate point?
It gives me more confidence. Anytime independent data sources all agree, it's an increased confidence that they're all correct.
So if there was a video of Mr. Rogers and Mr. right walking into a Walmart at that location about that time of your data point, would that, you just mentioned confidence, would that increase your confidence in that precision location data?
Yes, it would.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Now, I notice in State's Exhibit 111 that as we look at the right-hand side, that we see a red little cell in the green there. What does that say to you when you look at that?
The AT&T record placed the phone at this point out in the water. We gave it an uncertainty factor, which we have noted here. To me, it looks like an anomaly. The rest of the data shows the phone kind of traveling in a southward motion. Here we've got it at 8:57 p.m. further north on Fort Myers Beach. By 10 o'clock, it's a little further south. 9:18 and 9:54, we've got some kind of bouncing back and forth. So, and 9:44 p.m., it's further south towards the Beach. So, as a whole, as the trend line of all the points, it looks like the phone traveled in a southern motion down Fort Myers Beach, and that some of these anomalies or outliers out here are just network issues.
I want to show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit number 112, and ask you what we are seeing on State's Exhibit 112.
You continue to see the AT&T provided data and data from the digital forensics unit. In addition, a new phone number appears. It is 727-421-7736, attributed to Teresa Sievers. Those records are noted as yellow cell phones as her historical precision locations. The blue wedge we see is a data usage. The orange wedge we see is a phone call usage by that phone.
So when you talk about the orange and the red, whose phone number did you mark in red again?
Red is attributed to phone number attributed to Jimmy Rogers.
And did you say orange is, what other color did you say for the phone attributed to Teresa Sievers?
Yellow.
Yellow. Now, looking at this map, are you aware of what area of the county, of Lee County, we are in?
The top portion is mostly the entirety of Lee County. Most of the activity is along I-75 and in Denise Springs.
As we look at this map, is the airport, RSW, reflected? Can we see the general area of RSW on this map?
RSW is approximately here, where many of the yellow phone records attributed to Teresa Sievers are.
And again, does this map reflect, I'm looking, let me just see if it does. And does this map at any time, I want to talk about the list of times we see in this box versus the one time we see over there. Can you talk about why there are a list of times in the box on the bottom center of this exhibit?
Sure. Here we're seeing mostly red phone icons, which represent Jimmy Rogers' phone. Representing Jimmy Rogers' phone. Here, if we look closely, there is a yellow phone icon on top of this red one. The yellow would be Teresa Sievers, and that's when the phones were on the same tower. And I can tell it's a tower because of the size of our uncertainty radius, but this particular point is this very large green circle. That was from Teresa Sievers' phone, uncertainty. Jimmy Rogers' phone, uncertainty, isn't blue. But the size of this, these look like tower heads, which means the phones were communicating with this tower located at this particular area. Jimmy Rogers' phone, AT&T placed near that tower at our times range here, 10:42, 10:47, 10:54, 11:02.
I'm sorry, it's okay. 10:54.
11:02, 11:07, 11:12, 11:20, 11:28, 11:39. But then in the middle of that time frame, there's one out here with an uncertainty radius at 11:31. There's one over here for 10:29. There's one here for 11:25. So that's why we look at these as a whole data set, not any one particular point, because the phone wasn't here at 11:25 and traveled all the way here at 11:31. It's not possible. So that's why we look as a whole for the time period, 10:23 to 11:58. All the locations AT&T provided for the phone were in this general area of Phoenix Springs.
Showing you what's been introduced in evidence, the state's exhibit 113. Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what's displayed on state's exhibit 113?
On the left side, we passed midnight, so we're now on June 29th, 2015. This is showing the records received from the phone number attributed to Jimmy Rogers. This is a zoom in of an area in Florida along I-75. There's a racetrack at 30480 Cortez Boulevard, indicated by this little gas can symbol. We have some historical precision locations at 2:42 a.m. and 2:41 a.m. here. These look like tower hits. You can see the tower right here. 2:32 a.m., 2:41 a.m. There's two phone calls. They are both outgoing, 2:42 a.m. and 2:43 a.m. The right side indicates 6/29/2015, 2:49 a.m. to 3:10 a.m. On this map, we see a Circle K Shell station at 2055 West County Road 48. We have a historical precision location of the phone from Jimmy Ray Rogers at 2:49 a.m., 2:54, 3 o'clock, 3:05, and another one at 3:10 a.m.
Now, we know from an earlier exhibit, states 71A and B, that Mr. Rogers was seen on video surveillance at the racetrack at 2:31. Does that have any effect on your confidence level regarding the location data that's represented on this map?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes, it does. As we see at the racetrack here, what time did you say?
2:31.
2:31? There is a phone record AT&T attributed that was in the area of 2:32, and this is why sometimes when we look at them as a whole, it looks like the phone was in the general area of this racetrack between the times of 2:32 a.m. and I'll find the latest record, 2:43 a.m.
We also know from an earlier video exhibit, 72A and B, that Mr. Rogers and Mr. Wright were at the Circle K starting at about 2:52 a.m. and were there for a series of minutes after that, 2:54 and a little further on. How does that impact your viewing of this data and your confidence level in this particular map?
Both of our data points tend to agree. If there's video from this location, AT&T had the phone, if this looks like another tower hit, between 2:49 a.m. and 3:05 a.m. So those two data points correlate.
Given how you were looking at the historical precision location, are you able to determine the direction at which the phone was traveling? I mean by that north or south.
From these particular maps, they zoomed in a little close for me to definitively say.
From
Get a little close for what? For me to definitively say.
if I show you put back up state's exhibit number 112, from that, is there any way to judge the direction of the calls as the direction of the phone in the later calls or later historical precision location data?
Could you specify which phone? This is the one with two phone records.
Thank you. The phone that reflects Jimmy Ray Rogers.
This looks like a northern direction for this time period. We see the phone down in the Bonita Springs area, at 11:25, 10:29, 11:42, the phone looks well north of Benita Springs. 11:50, the phone continues northern out of Lee County, and it concludes up here around the river at 11:57.
And going back to State Exhibit 113, is that location, this general location you were talking about, is that north of Lee County?
Yes, it is.
I want to show you what's been introduced into evidence as State Exhibit 114. Can you tell us what we see on State Exhibit 114?
This information continues to show the historical precision locations of the phone attributed to Jimmy Rogers on June 29, 2015. As we saw on that previous exhibit, right around midnight of that morning, the phone is in northern Lee County. We see a general northern movement along I-75 throughout the day, here at 7:41 a.m., here at 12:19 p.m., here at 2:44 p.m., and here at 5:31 p.m.
And I see multiple phones. So have you created a text box for every time the phone, you had historical precision location data, or have you just created text boxes for some of the historical precision location data?
I chose text boxes for some of the data points. If I had put one for every single time we see a red phone, this map would have been unreadable and covered up completely by dates and times.
I want to just go back for a moment to State's Exhibit number 113. And State's Exhibit number 113, we have a triangular-shaped orange area. Why that triangular shape? What does that indicate?
This is the sector of the cell tower that handled the call.
And what does that mean? Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you're talking about?
Phone companies generally set their towers up for the geographical region that they cover. A lot of times they have 3 sides, sometimes they have 1, sometimes they have 2. They're really all individual, kind of set up by where they're covering. A lot of people tend to think that when you see a wedge like this, that's the sector that the phone was inside that wedge. That doesn't necessarily mean that. That was just the sector of the tower that handled the call. So they're not going to handle the call from far away, but it's not necessarily within the geographical area of.
Now, I want to go back for just a second to State's Exhibit 114. Was that entire exhibit created from the historical precision location data that you had received for that phone, for the phone number of Jimmy Rogers?
Yes, it was.
I want to go back, though, and show you State's Exhibit 110A. Did you use some of the information provided you from the digital forensics unit for 110A?
Yes, I did.
And is that information that you had received or found from the chart that you received from the digital forensics unit?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Yes, if I can just walk up and get this particular exhibit so I can show it to you. State's Exhibit 106, which we looked at earlier. Information from State's Exhibit 106, was that used in some of these charts and maps that you have prepared?
Yes, it was.
And do we see some of that information on State's Exhibit number 110A?
Yes.
So what information had you received from the digital forensics unit that, or some of it, that you ended up, from what we see in 106, that you ended up placing on the map?
Here, new route created to Bonita Beach after 6/28/2015, 5:25 a.m. That was record 33 on the spreadsheet from the digital forensics unit. The added stop and go, 6/28/2015, between 3:18 a.m. and 5:25 a.m.
Well, let me just stop here.
Okay.
So, did you use some of the information that was provided you from the digital forensics unit in creating this, this chart? I have no further questions at this time, and you may resume your seat. Thank you.
Actually, Judge, if she could stay right there.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Defense.
Give me one minute. Just a second. Didn't see 112. Okay. Kim, would you agree with, put it to 112 back on the easel?
Yes.
Okay. And so we've got a variety of different times here in the box. So, showing specifically, pointing at my pen where it says Jimmy Rogers, 6/28/2015, 10/42, all the way to 11/39. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. This is a kind of a big green circle. Would you agree with that? Okay. And that means that there is a fair amount of uncertainty as to exact location. Would you agree with that? Okay. And the way we get these locations is through cell towers. Is that correct?
It's from AT&T.
Okay. But they derive this from the data that they collect from their cell towers?
Their disclaimer indicated multiple data sources.
Okay.
So I couldn't say exclusively.
Would you agree with me, however, that if we look at a GPS, which comes from satellite data, GPS data tends to be more accurate as far as determining geological position?
I don't know enough
Geographic,
about
sorry, geographic.
GPSs to say exactly where their data comes from.
Okay. Can you tell me when Mr. Rogers' phone began to travel on this, on 112?
Looks like 11:38.
11:38 is, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just saw 11:39, so that was here, so we'll say more 11:50.
Oh, at 11:50 though, where's this area? Tell me.
It's north of RSW Airport.
Okay, so if this is Bonita right here, and we're at Bonita at 11:19, 11:25, would you agree with that?
Yes, I will.
And then we're here at 11:42, and I see here denoted a little shield with a 7.5. Would I be correct in saying that that is I-75?
Yes.
Okay, so am I also correct in saying the route of travel tracks very narrowly to I-75?
What route are you asking?
The positions track narrowly along I-75 in this top portion. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and we have a couple outliers, correct? You would probably say that they're anomalies because we have 1156 kind of off here over to the right. However, on 1157, there's continued travel. At 1150, down south of 1157, there's a position that would indicate that the phone is located someplace on I-75. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And this area down here, do you agree with me? This looks like Anita Spring.
Yes.
This area up here, more Estero.
Yes.
And you can see, is this RSW right here with the runway that you can see?
Yes.
Oh, and RSW is, would you agree with me, that's in Fort Myers?
It is.
Okay, and so up here further, we're in North Fort Myers, possibly Charlottesville.
No.
No?
That's really even Bayshore Road is up here a little bit. So they're somewhere between the exit from Palm Beach and Bayshore is indicated.
Gotcha. Okay. I want to ask you, I see a kind of a cluster here. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, let me know if I'm in the way. We see kind of a cluster over here. There's 1130, 1125. Are these anomalies or do these tend to indicate traffic?
I don't think they are either.
They're not either?
Would you like me to elaborate?
Yes, please.
This section looks like the phone was in this area for a long time, and or a period of time. AT&T was able to give some little better locations, but certainly better than this, to these locations. And so, to me, it's not necessarily the phone was traveling. It looks like it was somewhere in this area for the period of time from 10:33 to 11:58. Could have been anything.
Okay. And what's this blue marker right here?
I can see the legend real quick. It is a house representing 27034 Church.
Okay. And we have several pings by the blue marker that have the light blue circle around it. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So we have a light blue circle that is not exactly overlapping, so it's a little bit to the right, and would the right indicate that it's a little bit east?
Yes.
This is east. Okay. And so that would indicate that it's a little east at 11:30, and then we do have some overlap. We have some overlap here with the blue at 10:33 p.m. Is that correct?
It is.
We have overlap here at 10:35 p.m. Correct?
Correct.
And then we have a blue with 11:25 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We also have this blue here at 10:29, and this blue here at 10:29. Is that correct?
It is.
So, can you explain the 4-minute discrepancy between these two pings that are approximately 20 seconds apart to this payment that was 4 minutes prior?
I think that is an excellent example of AT&T's disclaimer, that they can't be exactly precise on every single record, and that's why we look at them as a whole, not completely individual.
Thank you, ma'am. Nothing further.
State,
Nothing on redirect, Your Honor.
is this witness to be retained or released?
Released, Your Honor.
Released, Your Honor.
Free to go. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I might approach the clerk for just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Wow. And I'll give you
You-
Thank you.
Okay. With that, like I told you yesterday, we'd probably be done about lunch, and we're done again for the day. I'm going to ask all of you not to talk about the case among yourselves with anybody else or look up any of the people or places involved. And we'll see you Monday at 8:30, and have a good Thanksgiving. Please be seated. Both parties have gotten together over some of your exhibits potentially for in your case?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Anything else we need to address, state at this time?
Not from the state, Your Honor.
Defense?
There you are.
See everybody Monday, 8:30.
Thank
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving.
Same to you.